What is going on, ADP Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm Caught Stealing Fantasy Baseball Show. We continue our ADP preview series as we get closer to the start of the 2026 Fantasy Baseball season. Today, we're taking a look at the shortstop position. You can go to the Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel and find our breakdowns of catcher, first base, and second base already live on site. Grande Fantasy Baseball Draft Guide and Cheat Sheet are live. We just had an update done a few days ago as well. You guys can scan that QR code right there on the screen or go to Fantasy Alarm and click on the Draft Guide logo on the homepage. You get taken there as well. If you haven't already purchased your draft guide, you can do so there. Or you can go all pro, $20 for the first month. FantasyAlarm.com/YouTube. Promo code YT50 gets you access to everything on site, including the draft guide and cheat sheet for $20. So check it out and do that as well. Grande, the shortstop position is kind of a fun one here. Taking a look, obviously, at the top 10 currently on the screen. We're going to break down the top 30 coming off the board. You can go to fantasyalarm.com/MLB/ADP here. This is a look at our composite ADP page, depending on what platform you're playing on, whether it's RT Sports, Fantrax, Yahoo, ESPN. It's all there. This is kind of a composite ADP average of those sites, but there could be different values depending on where you're going with it, my friend.
Yeah, it's an interesting position because this isn't a position last year where you had a lot of power guys. There were some obviously elite names. I mean, you just look at the top, but I think there's some leaps. There's going to be some big time leaps here, especially in the power department. Especially in there was only two guys over 100 runs scored. There was only 100 RBI shortstop. I think we get multiple more of each of those categories, especially here at the top with Bobby Witt and Elly De La Cruz. Nothing bad to say about Witt. Obviously, a little bit of a down year after the year he had prior, at least offensively and at least in fantasy. They did move the walls in Kansas City, and that's going to play for Witt. Still almost had 40 steals. Still was one run shy of 100. Still 88 runs batted in. So an elite year, but everything trending upwards for Witt, 30, 100, 140 possibly. And then you're looking at, again, if Shohei and Judge didn't exist, well, then he's the next best thing. And he's drafted like that.
Yeah.
I would say the biggest question mark, John, of maybe fantasy is how high is Elly De La Cruz's ceiling if he hits home runs like he did in the first half of last year, all year, right? Like if his first half and he ends up with 30 plus, like what is Elly De La Cruz's ceiling for like an overall finish? Like, could you see Elly De La Cruz challenging for like the overall number one player in fantasy?
So, I mean, I was ready to make that claim last
Last
year.
year, yeah.
And I think I did. I drafted him in a lot of places. The reason I did draft him where I did is because I felt like he had the potential in that ballpark and what we expect out of him, given his bat speed and the exit velocity and all these things with him. Plus, you added he was coming off a 67 stolen base season, over 100 runs. He was going to kind of hit in the middle of that lineup. I was very bullish on Elly De La Cruz. And the problem was didn't make a lot of good contact last year, had absolutely nothing in the second half, like you said. I mean, the first half was solid. Second half, nothing. He also only stole 37 bags.
It was weird season.
So, now listen, as a rookie, he came up, had 35 stolen bases, 13 homers. Next year, 25 and 67, 22 and 37. So, all right, he's got 20 plus homer power. Does he have 30 homer power? Like, he should in theory because he's 6'6", 220 pounds and has elite bat speed and elite exit velo, but he's got to hit the ball in the air more, right? He's got to hit more fly balls, and then the speed will play, some time. That whole Orioles lineup and Orioles team, for the most part, was just a massive disappointment. But he still came out 17 homers and 30 bags. Add Pete Alonso, add Taylor Ward to that lineup. Add some young bats as well. Basallo going to be in there. Jordan Westbrook's already hurt. Jackson Holliday's already hurt. But, maybe a little bit more lineup consistency. But more importantly, you get him healthy. Dude, he's only 24, 25 years old. So, there's still a ton of promise for Gunnar Henderson. If you just kind of look at the Statcast page, his numbers look a little bit closer to Bobby Witt than Elly De La Cruz do from a contact standpoint here. I don't mind at this point if Gunnar's going to be healthy and you're not sold on Elly, take a shot on Gunnar Henderson here.
Yeah, I think Gunnar is poised for that 2024 campaign versus the 2025 one. And I think the late start with the injuries just kind of plagued it from the beginning. It's a really good ballpark for left-handed bats too. He has a bunch of really good ballparks in general for in his division that he's going to play a lot of his games against. So I'm firmly in on bounce back for Gunnar. And it's not, I mean, last year's ADP was end of first, and this year it's early second. So
early second.
Nobody thinks the 2025 campaign was really real, right? Everyone expects the 2024 campaign to pick up. I think the interesting part about this ADP is there's 3 or 4 names that I am fascinated by. Okay. Francisco Lindor is slated to be back by opening day. At least that's what they're saying, that Lindor thinks that he'll be back by opening day. Yeah. He is playing catch. He is back to doing basic things. I think he's hitting a little bit as well. So he's 23 with the potential to miss season early. Trey Turner had a wild season, mainly because his batting average ended up he ended up hitting 304, and he almost stole 40 bases.
Yeah.
We don't doubt the Zach Nato talent. We almost just doubt the health the most. And then Mookie is 7th. And I think he's probably one of the most polarizing players in all of fantasy this year, because he's still being drafted in the top 50 based on our composite rankings. He had a really bad year, and when you look at a lot of the metrics, it doesn't look like it's going to get any better for Mookie. But what say you about Mookie Betts being drafted within the top 50, John?
I mean, we don't really know the full extent of what the illness was that started the year that he lost. For a guy that doesn't have much weight to lose, he said he lost 20 pounds. And that's just weight. How much, how long did it take him to regain the weight, regain the strength, feel fully healthy? And he played the season, and he didn't look great doing it. But we also kept looking at some of the peripheral numbers, and we're like, well, there's a chance that he bounces back from this. He's not chasing, right? He's not striking out a ton. He's walking a ton. So the plate discipline's there. He was making, decent contact, but he just wasn't hitting it enough. His expected batting average was greater than what his batting average was. The on-base percentage was solid. And so if he can get back to with the bat speed, the bat speed was one of the worst he's had of his career. How much of that had to do with him just being sick, I guess, or illness and the strength that he had? But anytime you're getting a piece of this Dodgers lineup, you're just going to be vaulted, I think, up the ADP, because he's going to hit second for them, and going to have Ohtani and Tucker and Freeman and all those guys around him, the drive-in runs, and for him to drive and run. So I get the appeal for him for sure. Just because the upside is if he comes back and is healthy, maybe he's a 25-25 guy, 25-20 guy, but he also has 100 run potential with a good batting average. I could see, that being the reason. I don't think we're getting 40 homer Mookie anymore at 33, 34 years old, but that lineup's difficult to pass through. Plus, like you said, Zach Nato's ahead of him. Last year, Nato was coming into the year hurt. He was basically almost going undrafted. I was getting him in like the final rounds of best ball drafts. And then he was just absurd. And then you have Geraldo Perdomo, who had just a ridiculous breakout season. Is he capable of repeating that, right? Or is he being overdrafted based off of one breakout year, So to me, it feels like Betts is also just kind of a name in a lineup you trust. And that's why he's getting clicked there.
Yeah, it's a hefty draft price for a guy who is in his age 33 season, right? Yep. And I just looked to 2024 bat speed was 13th percentile. So it's clearly fallen off like a cliff. Not that it doesn't matter. His hands are quick enough and he's an elite hitter regardless of bat speed, but just interesting that he's still sliding in here because he only had 8 steals last year. Like another thing that has really fallen off where Nato almost had 30, would have easily had 30 if he had played a full year. And Geraldo Perdomo had almost 30 stolen bases last year, which was his career high 27. I view both those guys kind of, I mean, Nato for sure, just given the upside of being a 35. He does strike out a lot. That needs to cut down. And he needs to stay healthy. That's the most important thing. He has not completed a full season. The Perdomo one's interesting because I did a breakdown of him on multi-category contributor article you can find in the Fantasy Alarm Draft Guide right now. I don't expect the power to necessarily continue. When you look at like some of the metrics, none of it screams like, oh, this is a 20 home run guy moving forward. I mean, he hadn't had 20 home runs combined his whole career prior to last year. He's played 562 games and like it was the first time
3 homers, 20 bombs,
dude. Like, I mean, it's just, and like even when you're factoring in like some of the shortened, like, oh yeah, he only played 98 games. Well, he only had 3 home runs, so it's not like he was getting to 20. But the speed, just given the way that the league has taken it and ran, right? He has a very slow sprint speed, but he's just one of the best base runners in baseball. And we've seen this with like guys like Josh Naylor, right? Where Josh Naylor has like the slowest sprint speed in baseball and had 30 stolen bases last year. So I do think Perdomo, who ranked 94th in base running run value last year, John, just like because he is so good on the base paths. He's an elite on base guy. 93rd percentile walk percentage for Geraldo Perdomo last year as well. There's just not a lot of downside. I would say if you're expecting him to repeat 20 home runs, you won't see any projection anywhere near that. 15 is the most when you're looking at like a lot of the like Steamer, Zips, what we have, the bat, like there's no one's putting him at 20, nor should they. But like he's going to score a lot of runs, he's going to drive in a lot of runs, and he's going to steal you 20 plus bags if he gets a full healthy year.
Do you feel better taking Geraldo Perdomo or Maikel Garcia or even CJ Abrams, who are all just right there? Basically the cluster of shortstops there, 8, 9, and 10. All going in that 60 to 66 pick range here. Maikel Garcia, 16 homers last year, 800 OPS, 286 batting average, 20 stolen bases. Going to hit at the top of a Royals lineup, where again, kind of expect more runs to be scored this season for him. Do you think that there's maybe, given sort of some of the contact numbers for him, a better profile to have more power than Perdomo this year?
They probably hit around the same amount of home runs this year. Maybe Garcia outpaces him a little bit because it's gonna be hard for Perdomo to repeat that. I view them pretty similar, and that's basically why they're being drafted right next to one another. I do think like Perdomo was a like definitively better run producer last year, and will that continue? I don't know. They were hitting him. If you remember, we were
Yeah.
joking about it a lot. They're hitting him third, and he slots in. He's expected to slot in as the leadoff hitter this year, which I do think that hurts him a little bit. But if Geraldo Perdomo is going to be followed by Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll, I know Garcia has Vinny Paz and Witt surrounding him as well. So like both players are in really good lineups. Garcia is going to have multi-position eligibility, third base and shortstop,
Yep.
considering he played both last year. I probably still lean Perdomo a little bit. I think there's slightly more upside. But I think it's really close, and that's reflected. Abrams is Abrams. I think like all the talent in the world, and then he just like gets bored, right?
Well, yeah,
One year,
none of his Statcast numbers suggest like are at all appealing. It's below average, right? Up and down the rankings, But he came out there, 92 runs scored, 19 homers, 31 stolen bases, 750 OPS, 250. Not gonna kill you, right? It's just if you're in like a head-to-head league, which I don't play head-to-head leagues, I play Roto. If you're in head-to-head leagues, like there's going to be weeks that you lose because CJ Abrams is doing nothing for
he's at the blackjack table until 6 a.m. I
right.
mean,
If you're in Roto, you live with it. Okay, yeah, he does nothing this week, but then I also know he'll give me the stretch where he hits 3 homers and steals 5 bags, and now we're back into it. But
right.
like if you're in head-to-head leagues, CJ Abrams is going to have stretches unless this Washington young core comes together and are exciting and they start kind of gelling and like Dylan Cruz reaches a ceiling level and James Wood reaches a ceiling level and things like that. And then that makes CJ Abrams just better to be around them. You can chalk him in for 2030 year. It's going to be a tractor pull the rostering him though. So
or they entertain trading him again,
or they try to get rid of him. So that's your top 10 there. If we go on over to the next set here, we have Bo Bichette, now a member of the New York Mets. Corey Seager. I want to talk about a guy that just can't stay off the IL, but all the talent in the world. Jeremy Pena, which he got hurt today. Or at least reported to
the missed a couple weeks. Yep,
missed a couple weeks. Which honestly, he's in Houston. We may not see him again for the rest of the season, because their training staff and injury reporting is so horrifically bad.
Yes,
Kyle Tucker had the worst bone bruise of all time. Yordan Alvarez had like the worst broken hand of all time. These guys, they just like never came back,
dude. And then
Brady's was like out for the year,
and then he played, and then he played the final week of the year.
Yeah, so like who knows about Jeremy Pena here? Alex Cora did say Trevor Story's gonna be their 2-hitter this season.
Yes.
Trevor Story had a huge year for the Red Sox last year. He stayed healthy. Does that continue? I mean, that's your top 4 off the board. Obviously, Bichette, Seager kind of go to the same round range, Pena, and then Story's like that next group.
Dude, it is. When you're talking Trevor's, we'll get the story. We'll start at Bichette. I think Bichette is just a professional hitter, right? I mean, he had that really random down year. I think his possibly the biggest obstacle ends up him at third base, right? If
he's there for shortstop, but because he has the eligibility for it.
Yeah, and he'll gain the third base eligibility when it comes. But I think if that gets in his head, that could obviously linger to the dish. We know Seager, as you mentioned, has upside, but
he can hit 40 home runs. He just can't stay on the field.
All right, let's see. How many times has Corey Seager, John, since 2000? Okay, his career started in 2015. How many times has Corey Seager played more than 140 games?
Twice.
3 times.
Yeah.
And he's only done it once since 2017.
Dude, again, we're never arguing the talent of Corey Seager. 400 expected WOBA last year, 285 expected batting average, almost a 570 expected slug. He had a 93rd percentile exit velo. He had a 95 percentile hard hit rate, doesn't strike out, walks a ton. Everything profiles as Corey Seager should be a guy that hits like almost 300 with a 900 OPS and 35 homers and like 100 RBIs. But he's going to play 98 games and he's going to give you 420 at bats. So, but if you get the healthy season this year, he's a steal as the 12th shortstop off the board.
He's 1 year away from being a permanent DH. He's one injury away from being a permanent DH.
Honestly, should probably be at this point anyways, right? It's going to be a 31, 32-year-old season. So
I honestly think Seager, like if you're waiting on shortstop and he's like dropping, that's probably the time I'd take him. He is the best. He's a good best ball drafter because he could just give you weeks where he hits 5 home runs.
Whenever he comes back from his injury stints, very effective player. Yes. But it'll last 2 weeks. So
Pena dealing with an injury is tough. I'm good with Pena at the ADP. Obviously, don't love the injury and the history of Houston. But like this is an injury riddled range. I mean, Trevor Story, another guy who has not played a lot of baseball, like,
last year, finally, for the first time, the Red Sox stayed healthy. And what did you get? The season everybody thought he could give you.
Yep.
25 homers, 31 stolen bases, 260, 740 OPS. Gonna hit second, gonna hit right behind Roman Anthony. The problem is that Red Sox lineup,
I think it's gonna be a lot better than
they need the young kids to come through. They need Willier to take that next step. They need a bounce back year from Jaron Duran. They need Wilson Contreras to come over and kind of give them what Alex Bregman gave them last year from an offensive standpoint. Without the injury, obviously, you need Marcel Meyer to not only stay healthy, but be the top 15, 20 prospect that he kind of was coming up through the system. But that's a lot of we need X, Y, and Z to come through. There's jokes going around Boston Red Sox Twitter right now. They're like, Masataka Yoshida is looking pretty good, right? It's hitting missiles over in Japan. We're getting ready for a World Baseball Classic. Like that guy last year, Yoshida, when he had like 800 OPS, like there was like some value there. So, but there's so many what ifs with this lineup right now. And so is Trevor Story. Is Trevor Story going to be able to give you 612 at-bats again from the 2-hole this year? Because if he does, great value at pick 108.
Dude, here was Trevor Story's season last year, right? And this is where he became, I think, like everything turned around. He had a 704 OPS his first month. He had a 432 OPS in May. Every month after that, June 827, July 870, August 817, September, October 795. That player, he would have probably been a 30-30 guy if not for those bad first months, right? Yeah. And he still ended up being a 25, 100, 130 guy.
He didn't get caught stealing, right? He got caught stealing once, right?
Once. He ended up getting caught stealing at the end of the year, yeah. But he converted his first 30. He broke the MLB record for it.
Yeah.
I think Story is a great value if you get the health. I don't think you look at it any way else. Like every season he has largely been healthy. He has had a monster offensive campaign because he is a powerful dude and he steals bases. So
the one thing we did pick up on him last year is he couldn't hit anything hard.
Couldn't hit velocity.
But it doesn't necessarily matter because they will throw him breaking balls and
he's good at that.
They'll plant him. So
he's great at that.
Ready for that. Yeah, Willy Adames. I mean, dude, for as much as we dog Willie for the home road splits and the whole thing about playing in Milwaukee and all that stuff, the power, dude, power is real. Power plays everywhere.
Don't say we. I've always believed.
Much as I dog him for.
I've always believed. I mean, he was one of 2 shortstops to hit 30 home runs last year, John. 2.
Yeah.
Do you know who the other one was?
Lindor.
It was Lindor and Willy Adames. Those are the only two that hit 30. And no one, there was only 4 shortstops over 25 home runs. So like, this is you go to the big park and you expect like things to fall off. You can live with a 225 Willy Adames average if he gives you 30 home runs, 94 runs, and 87 RBIs.
And 12 stolen bases. He double-digit stolen bases too.
You are perfectly fine with the average. That's where you go out and you draft, something to fix your ratios. Yeah, it's like bingo.
Again, we talked Jackson Holiday at the second base position. Hasn't really lived up to the expectations. He's also got a broken hamate bone.
Yeah, I'm okay.
We know what he can be, but Jacob Wilson, the dude just makes contact.
Yes.
Playing in a minor league ballpark.
Yes.
They won't hit him leadoff. They're going to go back they're hitting Nick Kurtz leadoff this year.
They are. Yep.
But I don't know. Is this a bit disrespectful? Is this
I don't think so.
No?
I think it's just because while I agree, like the home runs were a little better than expected, I don't know where they go from here. Like he has no power.
Dude, his Savant page is hilarious, right?
He has no power.
1 percentile exit velo, 2 percentile hard hit, 1 percentile bat speed, but he doesn't strike out. He doesn't walk. He literally puts everything in play.
No, he is going to flirt with 300 yearly, and if you get 70 runs and RBIs, it is a win, right? That's a win.
They just need to hit him. They need to hit him in a part of the lineup that he can be productive. Like that's
he's just not
hitting him 7th isn't gonna solve your problem.
He's not hitting at the top of the lineup because he doesn't. He also. We've seen it. We talked about it when we talked about Kurtz. These teams are hitting their best players first or second, right? Shohei, Judge, Schwarber. They're
getting on base so much. Why wouldn't you want him? He had an 800 OPS. The dude has, T-ball power. Like I don't know. Like
I mean, do they think? Is it something that they think can translate? Like his hit tool coming into professional baseball is 60-70. You do not see people get 70 grade hit tool.
No, you don't.
But
and he only homered in his home ballpark, but that doesn't matter because he's got to play half the season there. So
next 2 years, at least, could be a third.
And then, not for nothing, the stadium they're building is also in a desert at elevation in Las Vegas. So, could be.
Here's the problem, right? Like, you have just based on the people around him. Like, you're obviously the first 5 guys there where you're not drafting Jacob Wilson over. Bichette, Seager, Pena, Story, Adames. Sure. You're not. Then you talk Dansby. Dansby had a 2020, 80, almost 80 guy last year. Okay, you're taking Dansby in an approved Cubs lineup with Bregman next to him. I can make the case for taking him over Holiday because we don't know how long Holiday is going to be out for and what his season is even going to look like.
Sure.
I would definitely be okay taking him over Xavier Edwards, but Xavier Edwards does have a skill that people will probably be looking for.
If you're in Roto or even head-to-head, even categories, right? You're looking to win the stolen base category. You take
30,
Xavier Edwards.
Yeah, almost had 30 last year, 30 year before. And then if you're looking for power, well, Colson Montgomery played 71 games, bucko, and he was tied for 8th amongst all shortstop at home runs. I mean, Liam Neeson's I got a certain set of skills is literally with Colton Montgomery's face next to him because that's what he does. He has a massively high strikeout rate. It was 29%, and he had a 290 ISO, 529 slug, and 21 bombs in 71 games. So
you're getting Willy Adames value at pick 177.
Dude, at pick 1, it is an interesting comparison.
Obviously,
right?
Adames gives you more runs and RBI opportunities, but from a power standpoint, you're basically getting the same your batting average won't be probably too far off of what Adames will give you, unless he goes out there and has a 38% strikeout rate this year, which is live, right? Like guys get a book on him, they make adjustments, and there you go. The guy can't hit it anymore, but or it could go the other way.
Do you think if both Willy Adames and Colson Montgomery were to play 150 games this year, you think that their RBIs would be significantly different?
I mean, the Giants
are 55. Yeah, the White Sox aren't terrible though. I mean, they got Murakami.
Yeah,
they have Teal, Vargas. Like their top of their lineup is Mydroth, Teal, Montgomery, Murakami, Vargas. That's their top five.
Top of the lineup for the Giants is.
Yeah, well, you have Rafael Devers just by himself. Like that's a win. You have that guy. It's a pretty good thing. I'm not disagreeing.
I just think the power could. I think it wouldn't shock me if they ended up with like both had 35 homers or something like that. So, and that's listen, this is your top 20. As we turn the page here, and I said it to you before. There's some guys on this that they're going to be moving up draft boards as we get closer to the start of
the regular season.
Yeah. There's some rookies on this board here. Connor Griffin, obviously someone touted as like the best prospect they've seen in years.
Yeah.
To come through
Bryce Harper. People are saying since Bryce Harper, dude.
Yeah. Coming off at pick, 202 here. Obviously JJ Weatherholt's going to get a shot with St. Louis. And then Kevin McConaughey, if you listen to the front office insights, Jim Bowden said this guy's going to win. I don't know why we have Toronto as a team. That's a typo on my half there, but he's going to, Bowden says he's going to win a batting title. So he's on Detroit, not Toronto, but it's an interesting value group here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll touch on the rookies all grouped up because I think it's not going to take us long to get there. Stott is what he is. Get you steals. He's going to be okay in the power department. Jose Caballero has every positional eligibility and steals, led the league in stolen bases, so you can obviously draft him. Tovar gets to play in elite ballpark. Is good at times and is bad at others, right? Like he has been a typical Colorado Rocky hitter. Brendan Donovan, single category average guy. Otto Lopez, Statcast page actually looks better than the numbers suggest, and I do think that there's some decent stuff going on for Lopez, and then Correa is what he is at this point of his career. Griffin, just massive power. I mean, he hasn't had the best spring, but his home runs have just gone so far.
Over twice versus the Red Sox in the spring training game.
Yeah, all three of his hits in spring this year are home runs. Yeah. Like he has just simply hit home runs. But he is another guy that is just all the tools possible.
60 out of 70 raw power, 70 speed. All right, it's 55-70 for game power over at Fangraphs. So like, just again, ridiculous tool. Last year across the minor leagues, 21 homers, 65 stolen bases, 117 runs, dude. 94 RBI, hit 333, so almost 1,000 OPS.
Yeah, I mean, and he's 19 years old, so like you're getting. And first year ever in minor league baseball. Yeah, he's played 1 year of minor league baseball, and he's
climbed 3 levels, ended at AA, but just tortured everybody there.
He's a literal teenager. McGonigal is a little older, and I literally mean a little. He's 21. Yeah.
Again, he's on Detroit, not on
the Tigers.
So I apologize for the typo there.
Another one who hasn't made it past AA. Last year in the minors, 305, 408, 583 splits, 19 home runs, 68 runs, 80 RBIs in 88 games, John. Yeah. 80 RBIs in 88 games. Another one, dude, if he makes a team, he's going to hit atop the lineup. Yeah. is another guy with like 50 grade speed, so has multiple 20 stolen base campaigns at the minor league level. One minor league campaign, sorry, at the minor league level with 20. He had 10 last year. So love McGonigal too. There's obviously a wide gap in ADP between Connor Griffin and McGonigal. So, I think McGonigal, like if you miss out on Connor Griffin, like,
Gotcha.
Lagging.
Yeah, we got Fangraph lag happens to everybody. Yeah, you're good.
Dude, good. The Fangraph lag.
As you said, listen, if McGonigal breaks the team, like his ADP is going to rise. As we get closer to as it seems like he's going to be the guy for Detroit. So yes, while he's currently here, and again, this is just the current composite ADP. Maybe you're playing on a different platform where he's a little bit higher up the board. But as drafts happen, as spring trading happens, and we get closer to position battles and who's going to make final cuts, if it's looking like McGonigal is going to be the starting infielder for the Tigers here, then that ADP is going to move him ahead of guys like Xander Bogaerts. So you're going to be more likely to take Kevin McGonigal here than Xander Bogaerts or Brendan Donovan, just for the potential that they have. Because a lot of these guys are, they're fringe drafted players as it is. So
I completely agree. And what you could throw Weatherholt in that mix too. He's going to make the team probably at second now that they traded Donovan. And that was the reason they trade Donovan, right? They traded him.
They dealt everybody. They're
right.
Full rebuild.
No, for sure. But also, like, Donovan was like the last piece they needed to like get this kid playing time. Another like kid that has power, speed, is a top 20 prospect. I think Fangraphs has him at like 15 overall or 12, something in there. But
they got him 12 overall.
12th overall. Yeah, I mean, it's just, you are 100% right when it's like, if you're down here in this range, why would you? Because you've already drafted a shortstop. Why are you taking Carlos Correa over Weatherholt or McGonigal? There's not upside to that. You're taking a rookie like this to get the Nick Kurtz type season, right? Or the Jacob Wilson that hit 300 last year.
Jacob Wilson was the favorite to win the MVP until Nick Kurtz showed up. The AL Rookie of the Year until Nick Kurtz showed up. So
for a second time, because Nick Kurtz wasn't good until he got hurt, and then he hit the like, let me hit this like superpower button. That
Jacob Wilson was hitting like 400 for 2 months.
He was. Dude, he was beating Judge in the batting title for a while.
Yeah. So so that's kind of where it's at. I mean, listen, as we get closer, if Connor Griffin is going to make the club for Pittsburgh, he is going to be a top 15 shortstop pick.
Yes.
As we get closer to opening day here, and the same thing for these rookies, they're going to shoot up the board, because why are you going to waste your time this late in the draft taking guys that are low floor, low ceiling, right? Like Xander Bogaerts, Brendan Donovan, those Carlos Correa, they're not having breakout years, like Ezekiel Tovar, maybe. We didn't talk about Tovar, but like he's in Coors. We've seen power, right? Like he strikes out a lot, but like, okay, maybe he goes and hits 30 home runs this year. There's a chance Tovar could maybe do that, but you'd rather take shots on the rookies as we get down here. So kind of your look at the top 30 current shortstop coming off the board here, Grande.
Love it. And we'll have more coming to you guys in episode 5 and episode 6, and then we'll eventually get to pitcher, which is going to be an interesting one when we get there.
Pitcher and outfield are going to be long shows because there's so many players to talk about. But we do appreciate all the support. Hit that like, share, subscribe button. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know what shortstops you guys are looking to target, and we'll catch you guys later.